unpolished.
Okay, I'm going to start with a prayer that sounds very familiar because it's done as a blessing, but this is the original prayer. Lord, give me a restless discomfort about easy answers, half-truths, and superficial relationships so that I may seek truth boldly and love deeply within mine heart. Lord, don't quench in me a holy anger at injustice, oppression, and exploitation of people so that I can tirelessly work for justice, freedom, and peace among all peoples. Lord, don't let my heart go cold as I can shed tears with those who suffer from pain, rejection, starvation, or the loss of all that they cherish, and use me out to comfort them and transform their pain into joy. God, bless me with enough foolishness and faith like a mustard seed to believe that I can really make a difference in this world so that with your grace I may be able to do what others claim cannot be done. Lord, hear our prayer. Amen.
Amen.
This is a prayer I said at my funeral because it speaks to me so closely. Talk about the mustard seed. When I was about 8 years old, my parents gave me a charm bracelet, which a lot of kids in those days got. And ironically, on the charm bracelet is a mustard seed. And I finally found, and it's magnified. A mustard seed is almost the size of a period on the end of a sentence. But when it's planted, it takes over everything. So that's why it's mentioned in the Bible as faith like a mustard seed, so that it spreads everywhere. I didn't have formal church until I was about 10 or 11, but when I was little, my grandmother, who was from Poland, she came here when she was 16, didn't speak a word of English, and worked in she was a seamstress, so she worked in one of those wonderful places where they had no light and anything, and she would teach me in Polish, and I can't remember it now, how to bless myself. And she would take me, she lived in Brooklyn, and she would take me to the Polish church where everything was in Polish. She was Catholic. But when in the 1950s, she sponsored my second cousins, but I call them aunt and uncle, to come here from Poland. Their names were Jasia and Judek, even though Judek means uncle in Polish. His real name was Jerzy, but I didn't find that out until recently. So I called them Jasia and Judek. They worked for the United States government during World War II in the underground in Poland. Yeah. And my grandmother sponsored them to come over, and they had their daughter while they were in Poland, my cousin Wanda. And I can remember to this day when I was about 6 or 7, my mother asked them to wallpaper the hallway to give them some work. And I remember the fire siren going off and them being so afraid. And I think knowing that in my background propelled me to social justice. To have, being second generation of immigrants, to know what they suffered, and I feel so deeply about so many things. Oof. And that's why I got so involved in social justice, and I recommend that people find what your passion is and go with it. The Episcopal Church, they have the advocacy office of the government, and I've put it in the epistle several times. I try and go to their meetings every Thursday. They Zoom at 11 o'clock. Anyone's invited to go. It's only a half hour, and they present what the Episcopal Church stands for from convention and how they're getting it into Congress. And they talk about how this bill needs to be passed. You need to do this, and they'll send out alerts for you. Just all you have to do is fill out the form, and they send it to your congressperson immediately in government. It's so easy. And last year I got a letter from them that I was the top 25 for doing it. it was easy. Anyone can do it, and I recommend you do it. It's an off-the-record meeting every week. In other words, you can talk about anything you want, but they can't say, this is what we're going to do. This is what has to be done. They want you just to be knowledgeable of what's going on and where they need the help to hear your voices. When I was teaching my when my son was born in 1975, I started teaching in 69. We decided we didn't go on strike. We did work to rule. And we made sure we had the football coach on our team. And that meant we just showed up when school started and we left when school ended. And I was picket captain. So I got involved early. My son was 6 months old. And he was like, okay, honey, I have to go picket something. And that's where I put my energy for social justice and then I became building rep, and I became very involved in the teachers union in New York State. That was part of my passion, but I also became involved in what was going on in my church. And we started the Damien Center in Albany for gay people and people with AIDS. And that was one of the things we provided food for, and we would go to their dinners like we do for the college kids now. So, and there were many things that we did. The other thing that the Episcopal Church has now is a podcast. And if you podcast, it's called Episcopal Polls, Episcopal Polls, P-O-L-S. And you can find it on anybody that podcasts. They're not every week, but they do explain what's going on in the different things that are coming up. For example, the letter we just got from Fisher. They had an action to take to send to your congressperson. Please bring peace. Then we can settle things. War never solves anything. Some of the things I support the Poor People's Campaign because Reverend William Barber, I think, is one of our modern day prophets. And it just frustrates me that, now the government is more like owned by corporations, and we shouldn't be spending all this money bombing people when we should be feeding our people here. And, don't bomb anyone. Nothing gets solved by war. It really doesn't. I listen to Democracy Now! Every morning on my computer. They tend to do a very in-depth study of what's going on. It's very interesting and informative. And it's the only news I listen to because they tell you things you don't even know that it's going on because you're not going to hear it on the national TV. It's not correct, And they've been with what's going on in Israel and Gaza. They've been getting in touch with people that are on the ground, which is amazing because half the time these people don't have any wherewithal to talk, and yet they're talking straight from where it's happening. And it really gives you an insight of the terror these people must be going through. I can't even imagine what they're going through on both sides. A friend of mine just sent me a letter that she got from a friend who lives in Israel. And he's a young man, and he said, don't take sides. Fight for peace, because people are people. No matter what the politics are, put that over here. We need peace. The other thing I do is the news service on my internet is Common Dreams. I like because it has pictures and it's only 4 or 5 stories when I'm busy surfing. I'm trying I can't do anything for the world. I can only do what's in my own little corner. And even then I have no control over that. But I'd like to see more of our congregation get involved with the Office of Advocacy. I'm not familiar with what goes on down in Denver. I've reached out and haven't heard from anyone there. So I don't know if they're not organized enough. Reverend Felicia, do you know?
To do with the Episcopal Church.
Yeah. Yeah.
For advocacy
Yeah.
specifically. They used to have a person on staff.
I know, and I don't think they do anymore.
They haven't rehired that position.
Yeah, that's sad. That's sad because there's such a need everywhere. And that's why I'm so pleased that we're still supporting Isaac with the immigrant situation and Lumen with the college kids and the food bank. My husband and I, early on, we joined the Interfaith Council and we were members for 2 years. And I never realized that the food bank, they started the food bank. They started the homeless project. They made sure we had winter places in the winter for the homeless to go. They would go and find places to shelter them. And they're still very active in all of that, you know. So there's a lot of opportunities to find your passion. That's, you know, I get diverted sometimes. There's so much. There's so much that, you know, and for many years I was part of first we started as a Windsor Community Rights Network, and we were fighting the fracking, because in Windsor County alone there's at least 37,000 fracking wells. 1,000. It's one of the worst in the whole nation. Fort Collins gets all that crappy air during the day because of the way our winds go. They go this way, hit the foothills, and then come into us. There have been days where we've had I think the highest number was number 9 in the nation for the worst air. And it's from the fracking. And they tend to burn off stuff when there's a fire somewhere. Because then you won't notice the burning. And that's what makes it even worse. So, you know, a couple of...
It's not illegal?
Of course it is, but they only have 2 people in the government. It's, you know, no one...
Monitor.
You know, there aren't enough people to monitor it. And people are making money, so why should they shut them down? You know, it's gotten better. One thing one of our members had said, you know, there's always a solar on oil site. They use solar on oil sites, but they're fracking like crazy. And what we're worried about now is the leaking of the old abandoned wells.
Yeah.
Because they were never done correctly anyway. And so I was happy to move out of Windsor, but it's still bad here for air quality. Yeah. We had, many years ago, when we first started, our first meeting had 200 people. Our second meeting had 10. Come to find out several years later, Big Oil hired Cambridge Analytica to shut us down. We didn't know it at the time. And ironically, there's only 5 of us in the group. But they thought we were a threat. Because we were trying to get on the ballot in Windsor that nature has a right. Nature is important. And that means us too. But that we should have clean air and clean water. And we never got it past the town clerk. And we didn't find out why until many years later. Big Oil was afraid of us, which, okay. We have since disbanded because we're all old, and there's still only 5 of us. But, I'll open it up to questions because you know, this is me. And my faith is because of the first, one of the woke people in the world was Jesus. You know, when they're saying you woke, okay, I want to be woke. There's nothing wrong with, and someone said to me, oh, I don't, something, we're talking about something, well, those people are too woke. And I went, what? What does that mean? What is too woke? I don't know what that means.
Tell us the definition, would you?
Right, right. Well, what was Jesus? Empathetic, right? Compassionate, give to others.
So woke just means woke up.
Yeah. I know,
Thank
it's
you.
a buzzword to use against people that are fighting for us, for the everyday person, for the poor people.
Yeah.
We're the richest country in the world, there should be no homeless. There should be no one that has to go bankrupt for healthcare. This is my opinion, but I think a majority of Americans believe that. And I think we need peace in the world. That's another group, Code Pink. Medina Benjamin is amazing. She's the one that stands up in all these meetings in Washington and yells at them that you need peace, and then she gets dragged out. But and I was watching a debate between two activists, and Medea Benjamin and someone else, and the other woman said, well, that's a pie in the sky idea to have peace. I went, what? Really? A pie in the sky idea? That's sad, if that's what you believe. So I don't know. Comments, questions? Yes.
In terms of the environment, have you reached out to the young, to CSU students and to students in the high school?
Yes, and they're very active.
That's what I thought.
They're very
Yeah.
active, yeah. When we were doing, I've been involved in so much, and my brain is like, we were trying to get something on the, we did get something on the state ballot. And now I forget what it was, but we had a whole bunch of young people working with us. But then they disappeared, so it's like, there's no one.
To sustain it.
Just right. There are groups out there, but it's very hard to organize. And when you're trying to make ends meet, that's the last thing you're going to be doing. I can do it because I can pay my bills so far. But yeah, unfortunately, and I admire these people that are putting their lives on the line to stand up for what they believe in. That's always been something I found from my faith is you stand up for what you believe in, and if people don't want to listen, they don't listen. But maybe one person will. And that's all it takes is one person to spread the word and maybe influence someone else. That's how I've viewed my 34 years of teaching. If I just influenced one kid, I did a good job. So, and from that, I was nominated twice for Who's Who in American Teachers by two of my students. And I taught in an inner city, poor city, on the corner of the Mohawk River and the Hudson River. It was called Cohoes. It's still there, small city. It was settled it was a mill town because they had the Cohoes Falls. And the joke was that the Native Americans, when they went over the falls, they say, Cohoes! That's how that is named. It was supposedly a rival of Niagara Falls. I don't think so. But, right. It was settled by the Polish who built the mills and the Irish and French who worked in the mills. And there was 3 distinct areas in that city. And there was a Catholic church on every corner when I first started in 1969. And there was one black person in the whole city. Then Giuliani cleaned out New York City. Guess where they all came?
To you.
To us. He sent them up by bus to the Albany area because we were just above Albany, we're just north of Albany. So yeah. So it was an experience and a half. I mean, and my faith played a big part in that. Seeing those kids, my first year teaching, I bought a kid a coat because he was coming in just a sweatshirt. And New York winters are tough. And we would clothe a child. We do that every year. One kid said, all we have is conditioner in our house. I said, okay. Yeah, because that's all they had. That's all they could afford, you know. And, you know, that opened my eyes that we need to take care of each other. And I know that's God's message. Take care of one another. And I try to do my best in my own little corner, you know.
So I need written down for me because I can't remember these things.
I know.
I'm even older than you are. And the Episcopal site you first mentioned, well.
Oh, it's, if you go to the National Episcopal Church, look for advocacy.
Okay.
And then they
That much.
they break it down. Yeah, just go for advocacy. And they do climate advocacy, you know, climate, housing. They do a whole bunch. You know.
Also on our website, under resources.
Yeah.
Go to website under resources and you'll see a list of Episcopal, good things. And both the climate one and the, other one are on there. And so is ERD and a couple other good places. So.
I'm interested in the one you said that's easy. You can send it to you and you're.
If you go to the office of, the advocacy office of government, they show you where you can sign up to do alerts.
Perfect.
And then they send to
That's the
you
one.
whenever they want a letter written to someone. And that's the other thing I want to say. And, you know, my brain goes crazy. 45 years ago, when I was training to be a picket captain, the PR person from the New York State Teachers Union said, you know, every time you write a letter, that was in the olden days, before email and computers, the representative says, oh, this represents 20,000 people that would have written me a letter.
Mm.
You have power. So that goes for emails now.
Yeah.
You know, you have power. Even though you may get a form letter back from your representatives, you have power. Their assistants who answer all this know they have to respond to you and know this is on your list. You know, this is important. And it's interesting, the letters I'm getting back now from, the best guy is Joe Neguse. I've met him, and he's fabulous. He really is. But I get a form letter from Senator Hickenlooper every time. Thank you for your reply. Until recently, I just got one that said, we're trying to work for a temporary ceasefire, which he had never said before. So, but keep doing it. I have on my phone, I have the numbers to all three of them. And I will call. You don't get them. You get a representative or you get their answering machine. But they listen. They listen.
They record
how many come in. And like I said, it was 20,000 45 years ago. I'm sure they think it's more than that now. That's a lot of people.
That's a ton of people.
Right? Yeah. So.
A ton of active people.
Well,
No, represent people that would have called. That would have.
Oh, that didn't?
That didn't. You
But-
represent 20,000 people every time you push that button to say send.
I see.
For every one
Got
they
it.
get, they say 20,000
1,000
believe
people.
this way.
Right.
Hmm.
And now it's getting, at least what's going on in the Middle East is getting overwhelming and no one's listening. It's like, we need peace. You can't solve anything until you sit down together. I said, send Jimmy Carter, he's still alive.
We can Zoom him.
Right, you can Zoom him. You know, he's, you know, he was amazing for
Speaking of Zoom, I think, Terry, did you have, I know you were on screen a minute ago, did you have a question or a thought or something?
There she is.
Actually, I do, and I hope my voice will last or that I won't sneeze. Don't have to grab my Kleenex again. But Joan, it's just remarkable, you know, what you've spoken about. And I just think of the closing music today. And, you know, you truly embody, you can make a difference.
Well, we all can. And it doesn't take much to make the difference. Thank you, Terry. Yeah.
Feel better.
Yes.
About that bad air.
This year's been the worst with allergies and.
Oh, yeah.
I had an interesting experience on Wednesday. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the spur concept. It is developed at CSU. It's a CSU, part of the CSU campus, actually, that is being built down at the Western Stock Show Complex.
Oh,
There are 3 different buildings down there that represent land usage, how we're using the land, water usage, and then also medical. And it's just a amazing place. And we as Colorado taxpayers pay for it, so we should utilize it
Yes.
and be aware of it at any rate. And it's free. You can go in at any time, you can attend classes. Of course, you have to register online, but there are classes involving raising of plants, how to best, what grows best in different areas and so forth. It really was quite amazing. I was very happy, and I think it goes along with what we're talking
Right.
about.
absolutely.
Sustainability and how to reach people.
Right.
The very first thing I saw when I walked into the building was a veterinary clinic that was doing surgery on animals. It had you can
Oh,
view
wow.
them. It was the Dumb-Friend League that utilizes this, and they bring their animals in, and their veterinarians that neuter the animals, do surgeries as needed, and so forth. And there's also an equine center for working with horses that also then in turn help people. I mean, there's just so much, it's hard to explain all of it, but anyway, just mention it. If you want to go online and text SPUR, S-P-U-R, and it doesn't really stand for anything except to say that we want to spur ahead, or we want to take advantage of what's out there. And I think this is something that is useful for young people as well as we gray hairs.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the young people, it is kind of a hope of a future for them, how things can prosper for them. And so anyway, I
That's
just
why
wanted
it's
to
a part of
mention that.
CSU.
And it's and they also are bringing in some of the other schools in Colorado. So
Oh, good.
But right now, it's basically CSU that has developed this. And they're also building a whole new arena for the Western Stock Show.
Are they really? Oh,
And
wow.
it'll be right in that area. So when people go to the stock show, this will all be
Oh, good.
available to them. And like I said, it's free. You can go in and take these classes. You can just observe what's going on. You can see, hydroponic gardens being grown.
Fantastic.
It's very interesting. So anyway,
This
just
is
another
Kathleen.
thing.
Thank you.
There's a lot out there. I mean, it's just a matter of knowing where to look. And
There's hope.
there's always hope.
It's not hopeless.
But no, if it was, I wouldn't be doing this.
Well, and
Here, here.
You stuck with it so long that it clearly isn't hopeless,
And that's my faith, that I, like this prayer, the foolishness to do it and think you can get, and to keep doing it. Because there are days, if not
Joan?
hours. Yes.
I wanted to thank you for the embodiment of advocacy that you have within you, that your fire is lighting sparks within so many people and even within us, giving us maybe that needed refiring of that spark that we need. And I just am thankful that there are people like yourself that can share this fire, this passion, because as I talk with older people, it seems like people are getting tired. They're tired of writing. They're tired of talking. They're just said, well, what can I do? It's just me. And so they just need that impetus to keep on keeping on and knowing that one person can make a difference in some way. So thank you for sharing all that you've shared.
Thank you, thank you. And, yeah, on that note, is any more comments, questions? I think.
Thank you so much.
This made you nervous?
Talking about that, December 1st and 2nd, the soap show at the senior
Oh.
center.
Hold on, wait a minute.
You don't know
Hold
about
that
this.
up. I gotta
Oh, okay.
replace the spotlight so we get you.
All right.
There we go.
The soap show is going to be December 1st, 1:30 and 6:30, and that's a Friday, and Saturday at 2 o'clock. I was head of the script writing committee to do this. We write our own stuff. And
Delightful. It's wonderful.
it's fun,
It's really
and this
fun.
one's fun, and this is called How Much to Do About Nothing, because it really is about nothing, but it's hysterical. I mean, really good, and I'm singing a solo, so. But yeah, and I'm gonna give this info to Lori to put in the epistle.
Yay.
But that's what keeps me going too,
Where is it?
at the senior center.
Okay.
Can I take a picture of that?
Oh, sure.
Can we buy tickets at the door, Joan?
Yes, you can buy tickets at the door. They went up to $8. I know, I know. There's even a line in the show that I have to say about that. But I have a very small part. I'm playing the liaison to the senior center, and I told Ashley, who is our liaison, I'm making her totally different than you are. I'm using my Long Island accent, so. Hopefully.
We're on Long Island.
Well, Jericho, and my husband was born in Hicksville, which are right next to each other.
I know, I'm a Long Islander,
That's right, and you were from,
the North Shore,
yeah,
from Sands Point to Huntington.
okay. Yep,
So we have 3 Long Islanders because
Yes.
our Terry Bird's
Yeah.
on.
right,
And Terry Bird's on, yeah.
right.
Yay.
So I'm using the bad Long Island accent.
It's we don't say Long Island.
Long Island, yeah, I know, no, my father used to be such a stickler. He was, oh my God. He hated the dentalizing of the T's, because they'd say, don't, you want to go. He'd go, stop that. You don't talk that way. And the funny thing is, then when I got married, we moved to Albany. My kids have a different accent than I have.
Oh, yeah.
They pronounce words differently. It drove me crazy. And my husband they used to say he had a worse accent than me. I went, I couldn't hear it. I don't have an accent. But yeah, so December 1st and 2nd. And we only have 2 rehearsals left before Tech Week, which is the week
Yeah.
just before the performance, so.
I grew up in Arizona. I don't have an accent.
Yeah, neither do I.
Wyoming, yeah.
It's funny.
We
Well,
just talk smooth.
New York State,
Whoa.
New York State has 3
Its own-
different zones.
Oh, yeah.
So you have Long Island accent, then you have Albany area accent, and then you have Buffalo accent. And the words change. In Buffalo, they call napkins serviettes. Long Island, we have soda. Buffalo, they have pop, and Albany has no idea what they have. Because I've heard it said both ways. I say the word orange, orange.
Yes.
My kids say orange.
Florida and whirl.
Right,
My dad
but I
and
get
my brother.
dinged for water.
You should be able to learn 4 languages.
I know.
You already know 4 of them.
Then there's always Jersey. That's with it.
Joycey?
Joyzy, yeah, what's with you, bud? You know? But yeah,
At least you
You're leaving
go
out.
up asking for Coca Clear.
I've never heard that before.
Coke or Clear?
Oh, God.
Clear.
So like 7-Up,
Yeah.
ginger ale.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's something new, see?
We learn something new every day. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
That's only along the border.
Isn't it interesting though? Yeah.
In southern Arizona,
So
Mexican border.
Mexican border. Okay. That's wild. Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a great week.
on so many ways.
Bye.
I've just been, it's on my to-do list, to find out how to get hold of Joan
Yes.
Stephenson and get to know him.
Oh, yeah.
So,
He's a great
does he
guy.
come to town at all?
Yes.